Let's add some interest to your cities and towns. Street Urchins. Welcome to my channel. I focus on tabletop role-playing games, video games, and science fiction. So one definition of a street urchin is a child who lives or spends most of his or her time in the streets. They're often petty thieves or pickpockets. They are mainly found in large cities because that's the only place that their survival makes sense. They are often dirty, they're unkempt, they come up on people begging for money. They're basically beggars, pickpockets, and thieves. So if your character comes into town, these become the little spies. If you watch Game of Thrones, these are the little birds that often spy on things. They're, they become part of the woodwork. You don't really notice them until they notice you. And what they do is they watch for people with money. So your characters come into town and they go into the nearest tavern and the guy goes, "I'll have your best ale." And they go, "Oh, that's 2 silver pieces." And they go, "Oh, here's a gold piece," and keep the change. This is an immediate red light attracting street urchins. Here is someone who is willing to forego the 8 silver for their best ale or whatever. Doesn't care about silver or coppers. These kids live just hand to mouth. Whatever they can beg, borrow, or steal, or find, or dig up, that's what they live on. They're barely able to get enough food to survive, and they see someone who is extravagant with their money. This becomes an immediate attraction to any street urchin in the area. Now, I've used street urchins a couple of times now in the World of Tiglath. And you run into the interesting question, are the street urchins organized or not? You can play them either way. The first encounter in the World of Tiglath, the street urchins were not only organized, they were in cahoots with the city guard. The idea, what was going to happen, was the street urchins were going to cause a situation where the city guard would come in and arrest some of the player characters and hold them for ransom, and the kids would get a kickback from the city guard. Unfortunately, that wasn't the way it played out. The party came into the city and they're walking along, and one of the street urchins, they live a very, very difficult life, who had been maimed previously by someone or something, came running out from behind a building, covered in blood, with and he looks like he's been maimed and hurt, and he points at one of the player characters and said, "He did it." Okay, now we have a confrontation. You have all the city folk, or all the people, the townsfolk, look around and they see this kid. He says, "He did that to me. He did that to me." Now what do? Well, the city guard comes running. Well, what happened was the party slaughtered all the urchins and the city guard and then ran away. Not what I was expecting, but that was their response. In the most recent campaign I've been playing along with, in the first one, they were very organized. They were organized, they'd planned it out, and with the city guard. They just weren't expecting the response of the party. In this last one, they had seen a character who had flashed too much money. And so they're after him, and he causes them some grief, and so they actually are just throwing rocks at him. And the character catches the rock and throws it back. Okay, a street urchin is normally has 1 hit point. They're no challenge. They're, you know, they're a quarter experience value, I guess. That's the way to put it from the 5th edition. But they're really nothing, you know, they can't really do anything. If in close quarters, if they get up next to you, they probably have some sort of dirk or dagger or whatever, and they will try and stab you. But they're really no challenge. And the guy throws the rock back at them and hits him in the head and causes his head to explode. Now, this causes all kinds of possible issues, because now you've killed a street urchin. The rest of the street urchins in the area are going to hate you for that. They would then, if they are working with elements of like the Thieves Guild or whatever, or even just some other thieves who have them to spy out and find good targets to rob, they're going to now be interested in getting you damaged or killed or whatever. So street urchins are an interesting way to put them into your campaign. And you don't have to limit this to just fantasy, old fantasy cities. Think about if you're playing a modern, like, traveler, and you come to a large city. It's still the question of what happens to the young orphans. Those are the ones, or the abandoned children that are there. You can run into any city environment where that they would just barely be surviving, and they would live by their wits, and they could grow up to be master thieves, because that's what they're going to be involved with: thievery and schemes and all kinds of methods of getting money from people. That's what they're involved with. So you can make the plots as elaborate as you want with street urchins, because they're the ones who are spying things out. They find the information out. If you make friends with the street urchins, which is a challenge, if they know that you've got money, you know, say you appease the street urchins by throwing some money at them, they will take that. But then now you're a target, you're a soft touch, so they'll keep coming back. And if you keep having money, they keep wondering, how much money do you have? So you become a target. But if you could somehow win their trust, they have a tremendous amount of knowledge. They're going to know all the ins and outs of all the streets, all the sewers, all the ways to get around. Maybe some ways that are too small for a full-grown character, but they're children. And they will help you or hinder you or sell you information. All of that is some interesting ways to use street urchins. So I'd like to hear some of your stories. If you've been running a game, have you put street urchins in any of your cities? How have your interactions between your characters and the street urchins worked? Or if you're a player character, if you're a player and you've run into street urchins, what have you done with them? How have you handled that? These are some interesting stories that can have interesting applications in future adventures. Thank you for watching my video. I look forward to learning what you think about this video. Let me know in the comments below. If you like the video, press the thumbs up button. You can subscribe by clicking the link in the lower left. If you are interested, there are links to more content.